These videos, oh my gosh, I've watched about 4 or 5 of them. I've made one. You guys get so mad in the comment section down below. It is actually the funniest thing in the world. It's literally like fighting off, I don't know, a lion at a circus. Get back, children, you demons. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go ahead and add some fuel to the fire. We're gonna go ahead and rank the greatest position players of all time. So if I see any comments in the comment section down below saying, where's Randy Johnson? Where's Greg Maddux? Where's Bartolo Colon? I'm gonna come to your house, I'm gonna hack your Fortnite account, and I'm gonna delete your Orange Justice, okay? I'm gonna do that. But all jokes aside, guys, I really like making these types of videos because, one, I get to present my case as to why I think Babe Ruth might be a legend, a great, or a GOAT, or any of the other players that you guys see in front of you, and then you guys get to let me know why I'm wrong or why you agree with me. So the thing about this video is if we can get this bad boy to 1,000 likes, I'll go ahead and see if there's a pictures one because, again, I don't make these. I just kind of go on, and whatever's there is there. But, yeah, if there's 1,000 likes on this video, we'll go ahead and remake it, but they're pictures edition, so that'd be even spicier. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started because we have 3 different sections to go over. We have the GOAT, which is going to be the greatest players at each position. Now, there might be a few exceptions where there might be 2 greatest second basemen, something like that. So we have the GOAT, we have the legend, and then we have the great. So the first up on today's list is one of the greatest players of all time. So I kind of just hinted at it right there. One of the greatest. He's not gonna be in the great. Hank Aaron, Hammer and Hank, is going to be a GOAT. Obviously, before Barry Bonds came around, he was the home run king, and a lot of people still consider him the home run king. Leave me a comment if you think that Hank Aaron still has that title. I know a lot of you guys like Barry Bonds, but that is one of the debates that I just refuse to partake in because it's just one side's really angry, the other side's really angry. I'm not going to get involved. Next up, we have, I think that's going to be Jeff Bagwell. I'm going to put Jeff Bagwell in the great. He was really, really, really good, but I don't think that he belongs in the legendary section, and obviously, he's not going to be in the GOAT discussion either. Next up, we have the late Ernie Banks. I miss this guy a lot. Mr. Cobb. I think that he is going to be the first one in our legend. I almost want to put him in the GOAT conversation because he could be the greatest second baseman of all time. You know what? I think I have to do it. I'm going to go ahead and put Ernie Banks in the GOAT conversation for second baseman, so I think he's perfect. Next up, Adrin Beltr, the guy who just retired in 2018. I don't think baseball is the same. I wish that he was back on the Rangers because the Rangers, they have a pretty good offense, but their third basemen are not playing that well. I'm going to go ahead and say that he is a legend. I think he's a little bit better than Jeff Bagwell. You guys might disagree, but the reason why is because Adrin Beltr, he won a crazy amount of Gold Gloves, plus he has 3,000 hits and a bunch of home runs. So obviously, I am going to put Adrin Beltr in the legend discussion. Johnny Bench, I'm going to go ahead and put him in the GOAT conversation because I think he is the greatest catcher of all time. I know Mike Piazza's on this list. I know we're going to talk about Gary Carter, but in my opinion, I think that Johnny Bench, along with a couple other guys, they're definitely the best of their position. Wait, hold on. Who is this? Is that Craig Biggio? I know that his son, Kevin, just hit a home run for the Toronto Blue Jays. I didn't know that Craig Biggio was a catcher. I thought he was a second baseman or a middle infielder, so I don't know where I am on that one, but I'm going to go ahead and put Mr. Biggio along with his former teammate, Jeff Bagwell. I think that he was really great. I don't think that he's a legend of any sort. Definitely not a GOAT. Next up, we have Wade Boggs, one of the greatest contact hitters that this game has ever seen. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the legend discussion. George Brett. This one's going to be really tough because I do love George Brett. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the, how many Gold Gloves does he have? I got to check. But he has 3,100 hits. He has 300 home runs. The guy has a 305 lifetime batting average. I'm not really too sure what to make of that. Let's go ahead and put George Brett in the legend conversation. I think now that I think about it, that's a little bit easier to kind of digest, is putting him in the legend as opposed to great. Lou Brock, again, one of those guys that he was really good with his speed. I got to put him in the legend department. I think he's a little bit better than Bagwell and Craig Biggio. Brooks Robinson. I don't know if he's better than Mike Schmidt, so what we're going to do is we're going to put him in the legend conversation as well. In terms of defensive players, I think that he might be one of the best defensive players we've ever seen. Not even talking about just third basemen, but defensively of all time, he's got to be top 5. Miguel Cabrera is still currently playing baseball. He's not playing at the same pace that he was or at the level that he used to. This guy has won a Triple Crown. I was looking at his numbers. I think he's about 200 hits away from 3,000. As a, I think as a hitter and as a baseball player, I'm going to go ahead and put Miguel Cabrera in the legend category because rarely do you get a guy that hits the Triple Crown. So I think once it's all said and done, if I'm putting Adrin Beltr in the legend, I'm going to go ahead and put Miguel Cabrera in the legend as well. Rod Carew, I think that he is a legend as well. He's one of those guys that we always talk about in the contact department. I think he is perfect right there. Gary Carter, unfortunately injuries and a few off seasons kind of played into Gary Carter not being in the legend conversation, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in the great. I think that he was really good. Roberto Clemente, he retired at exactly 3,000 hits because unfortunately he did pass away in a tragic plane accident. We're going to go ahead and put him in the legend conversation. I wish that I could put him in the GOAT because I think he is one of the greatest outfielders of all time. I might come back to that one because I know he had a plus arm. He could still use some bags. He has 3,000 hits. We'll have to go ahead and adjust that. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys would put him in GOAT or just the legend, because I'm on the fence about that one. Hey guys, real quick, it's Fuzzy from the future. I just noticed that I put Ty Cobb in the legend conversation. I got him and Tris Speaker kind of mixed up, so make sure you guys watch all the way until the end. I will edit this list, so don't get mad at me just yet. Ty Cobb, he's a GOAT. Next up, we have Ty Cobb, who obviously is going to be a legend. A lot of people say that he is overrated. I don't really think so. He was hitting home runs when not a lot of people were. Next up, we have Andre Dawson. I think that he was really good. I think that he was great. I don't know if I would consider him a legend or a GOAT. A lot of people think that he's better than he was because he's amazing in MLB The Show, but I think that he was great. Maybe not a legend, maybe not a GOAT. I mean, but if I'm putting Adrin Beltr in legend, maybe I should put Andre Dawson. I'm going to put Andre Dawson. Yeah, he's going to be a legend for me. I'm scratching that. Joe DiMaggio, I am going to put in the GOAT category because, again, he has a 56-game hitting streak. You cannot talk about baseball without mentioning Joe DiMaggio, so I have to put him in the GOAT conversation. Next up, we have Jimmie Foxx. You guys might have never heard of Jimmie Foxx before, but if I show you his stats right here, so he played from 1925 to, I think, 1945, so he played for about 20 years, but he had 58 home runs, 48 home runs, 44, 36, 41. This was at a point where not a lot of people were hitting home runs. He almost has 100 career WAR, so I know you guys might not know about him, but I think Jimmie Foxx is a GOAT baseball player of all time. He's going to be one of the few players where we're going to be splitting first base GOATs, because I think him and a player that we're going to talk about later on in the video, make sure you guys don't click off, I think they might be kind of co-captains for the greatest first basemen of all time. So we're pretty much going to have back-to-back GOAT players, because Ken Griffey Jr. is most likely a top 3, top 4 player in the history of baseball. I was going to say outfielders, but if we're talking about all-time players, he's got to be in that conversation. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's in the same boat as Adrin Beltr. Andre Dawson doesn't have the most insane stats that we've ever seen, but again, amazing. Okay, so I can already tell these next two picks are going to be a little bit tough because Tony Gwynn is one of the greatest hitters. Honestly, he might be the greatest contact hitter of all time. Ichiro is on this list as well, so I'm curious where we're going to pick him. I think I'm going to go ahead and put Tony Gwynn. I mean, he's the last guy that almost hit 400. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to put Tony Gwynn in the GOAT conversation simply because I think he is the greatest contact hitter of all time. So that's why he's going in the GOAT, not the legend. I think that Rickey Henderson was amazing. I mean, there was a point where he was stealing 100+ bags for consecutive seasons in a row. I'm just, he's even said that he's the greatest of all time. I kind of want to put him in the GOAT just because, you know, he has the hits. He has the gold gloves. He did have a pretty decent arm. He had the speed. So you know what? I don't care what you guys think. I'm going to go ahead and put Rickey Henderson in the GOAT conversation. That might completely destroy my entire video. You guys might think, what are you thinking? But I'm going to do it. I just like Rickey Henderson a lot. Maybe I need to learn a little bit more about the history of baseball because I could be completely wrong with Rogers Hornsby. I know he's good in MLB The Show. I could probably put him in the GOAT, which I think I might do. Actually, you know, Rogers Hornsby, he's synonymous for being an absolute legend, so we gotta put him in the GOAT conversation. I am putting Ichiro in the legend conversation. You guys might absolutely spam me for that, but the reason why is because he did not spend his entire career in America playing baseball. I think that if he did, he'd be in the same conversation as Tony Gwynn and Pete Rose, but for right now, for the sake of this video, we're gonna go ahead and place him in legend because I think that both Tony Gwynn and Pete Rose maybe deserve a little bit more credit, but again, that's just me. Up next, this is a perfect pick. This is going to be super easy because Jackie Robinson is one of the greatest second basemen of all time. Not only is he one of the best players that we've ever seen at that position, but he's also the most important player in baseball, maybe aside from Babe Ruth. Jackie Robinson at the #1 spot, maybe Babe Ruth in terms of most important ever, then maybe Frank Robinson, I would say is #3. Derek Jeter, I do not think that he is an all-time great, although he was really good. I'm going to have to stick him in the legend conversation conversation. Up next, we have Shoeless Joe Jackson, who was banned from baseball for betting on the World Series. He was part of that Black Sox squad. I think that he is a legend. He does not have the stats. I've done a little bit of research on him, and again, yeah, he doesn't have the stats. Chipper Jones. This one is going to be on the fence for me because if you look at his stats, I mean, if we go over to the Baseball Reference, this is my favorite website on the internet. Chipper Jones, he played for about 19 seasons. If we take a look, he almost has 3,000 hits, but he has 468 home runs. He has a 303 lifetime batting average. He does not have a Gold Glove, so I think we're going to use that in the argument against him being a GOAT player. So Mr. Chipper Jones is a legend. This has been one of the most crazy videos. I think so far I've done pretty well, but I need to drink some water because we still have a few players to talk about, and who knows, I could get roasted for this. Al Kaline is one of the greatest all-around players that we've ever seen. The weird stat about him is the fact that he won a bunch of Gold Gloves even when he had a negative defensive WAR, so the defensive WAR stat is just really weird to me. I'm going to go ahead and put Al Kaline. You guys might think I'm crazy for this, but I'll show you his stats. He's a GOAT. Al Kaline, we're going to go check this guy out real quick. So he's a Hall of Famer. He's an 18-time All-Star. He's a 10-time Gold Glove winner. He won the batting title. He won the World Series. I mean, if we take a look, he has 3,000 hits. He has almost 400 home runs. He has 1,500 RBIs, a lifetime 297 batting average with an 855 OPS. He even has 137 stolen bases, which is not a lot. He also got caught stealing 65 times. But in my opinion, as an all-around outfielder, I think he's in the GOAT conversation. Harmon Killebrew is definitely a legend. He did not have the best glove. I know that he might have won a Gold Glove maybe once or twice, but I think that he was more known as a hitter, so I'm going to put him in the legend department. Next up, we have Barry Larkin. Again, really solid player, not the best of all time. Mickey Mantle. This is going to be so tough because we're going to have a lot of GOATs. I just really like players, and I think that there's a lot of best players of all time, and I do think that Mickey Mantle is in that conversation. I mean, you just cannot tell the story of baseball. Honestly, I'm going to leave it at that. If you cannot tell the story of baseball without that player, we're going to have to go ahead and mention them. I don't know if you can make that case for Al Kaline, but every other player is going to be talked about for the next 1,000 years of baseball history. Edgar Martinez, I think that he was, probably maybe aside from, how do I say this? He's either the first or second greatest designated hitter of all time. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the great department simply because he did not have any real fielding stats. So yeah, he's gonna be a great player. Willie Mays, I mean, if I didn't put him in the GOAT conversation, what are we doing here? This video would be null and void if I did not put him there. I've heard a lot of things about Paul Molitor, that he was a great teammate. He could pretty much do anything that you needed on the base paths. He didn't have the biggest bat, but I think as a pure baseball player, he was up there as one of the greats. Joe Morgan, a legend in his own right. I mean, it's self-explanatory. Joe Morgan, one of the greatest second basemen of all time. I don't think he's up there with Jackie Robinson or Ernie Banks, so we're going to put him at the legend spot. David Ortiz, I'm going to put him right over next to Edgar Martinez. Again, the reason why is because I truly believe that you have to have some defensive capabilities as well to be considered a legend or a GOAT. They're amazing. I love David Ortiz. I love Edgar Martinez, but they're not going to make the conversation, at least in this video. Ozzie Smith, I don't know what was the hype around Ozzie Smith. Again, I could get killed for this. I know that he was amazing with the glove, but I think that because of his bat, for the same reasons why we're not putting Edgar Martinez and David Ortiz in the legend, we're going to use that for Ozzie Smith and his bat. So yeah, they didn't have the fielding. Ozzie Smith does. He didn't have the bat. They did. So kind of the same players. Not really, but you get what I mean. Pete Rose, I don't care what you say. Pete Rose is a GOAT. Get him in the Hall of Fame. Just kidding. I'm not really too sure what to make of that argument either. It's like the whole Barry Bonds and steroids and Pete Rose and gambling. It's just the conversation that is just really tough to have. Mike Piazza. Ooh, where do I go with this one? Where do I go? Because we already have Johnny Bench, and I do think that Johnny Bench was the best catcher of all time because he had both the hitting and the defense. So I'm going to go ahead and put Mike Piazza in the legend category. Up next, we have Albert Pujols. He's a GOAT. I don't care what you guys say. He's still playing. I know the end of his career has not been the best, but you have to put him in the GOAT conversation because he has better stats than Lou Gehrig at this point. Up next, we have Reggie Jackson, who is going to be a legend. Again, not the best fielder that we've ever seen. Did not have the strongest arm. Cal Ripken Jr., in my opinion, is one of the greatest shortstops that we've ever seen, and he almost played in 3,000 games in a row, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in the GOAT conversation, at least in terms of shortstops. Next up, we have Frank Robinson. This dude has some of the most insane stats, and you guys would never realize, and he was also the first black manager in baseball, so he did a lot for the game. Not only was he a great baseball player, but he was also an ambassador for the game. Next up, or actually the next couple picks are going to be a little bit easy. Babe Ruth, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, if not the greatest. We're going to put him right in that GOAT conversation right next to it because he might be the #1 spot. Mike Schmidt, he is the greatest third baseman of all time. I think Nolan Arenado might have something to say about that when his career is said and done. But for right now, we have Schmidt at the #1. We're going to go ahead and put Stan, the man Musial, in the GOAT conversations. Again, you guys might fill out this chart completely different because I like to have more GOAT conversation players. And again, I just noticed this, but Barry Bonds is not on this list because it says no steroid player. So again, I didn't leave him out. The person who made this left him out, so don't put that on me. Next up, we have Willie Stargell. I think that he is a legend. Again, for the same reason that we put Reggie Jackson in the legend. His defense wasn't that great, so Willie Stargell does not make the GOAT cut. Darryl Strawberry, his career was cut short because of his own doing, so we're going to go ahead and put him in the great. Frank Thomas, I have to put him in the legend department. If we're going to put Miggy in there, we have to put Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, one of the scariest baseball players of all time. Jim Thome, great. I'm going to say that he's great. I think he has a lot of home runs, but again, the defense was very suspect. I think he's in the same boat as Jeff Bagwell and Gary Carter and David Ortiz, all those other guys. Next up, we have Mike Trout. I cannot believe that he is on this list already, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a splash. I'm going to go fishing. Mike Trout is one of the greatest baseball players that we've ever seen. The dude could stop playing baseball right now, and we're going to talk about him until the year 6000. If the world is still here in 4,000 years, we're going to be talking about Michael Trout. I guarantee it. Is his name Michael Trout or is it Mike Trout? I'm not too sure. I'm really not. Honus Wagner, I mean, again, you cannot tell the story of baseball without Honus Wagner. I think that his tobacco card is the most expensive baseball card in history. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the GOAT conversation. Ted Williams, GOAT. That's an easy pick right there. Carl Yastrzemski. Carl Yastrzemski is a Hall of Famer, an MVP, an 18-time All-Star, a 3-time batting title, Triple Crown, 7. Yep, I don't have to look at anything else. Carl Yastrzemski is a GOAT player. I have a lot of GOAT players, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine. Yogi Bear won a ton of championships, but he was not the greatest catcher of all time, so I'm going to put him just behind Johnny Bench. And then the final player that we have on our list is Robin Yount. I think that he's a little bit better than these greats, so we're going to go ahead and put him in the legend department because just like Paul Molitor, great all around. And there we have it. Here's my list. What I want you guys to do now is I want you guys to go take this test, and I want you to kind of tell me where do you rank all these players, because again, I might have messed up. I might have put way too many GOATs, but if I'm being honest with myself, I know I said I was going to only have one at each conversation, but these dudes, the GOAT conversations, you cannot tell the story of baseball without them. So that is going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you agree or disagree with any of my picks, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. Again, if we can get this to, if we can get this to 1,000 likes, I will go ahead and do the same thing, but with pitchers, and that should get a little spicy. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.